2 months after being taken back by the Shen family, I married Lu Zheng. The Alpha displayed an air of indifference, tossing a card at me. I have no desire to spend my life with a stranger. The funds contained within this card shall serve as compensation. Once our partnership stabilizes in 3 years, we shall part ways. Later, I unexpectedly found myself with child, and as Lu Zheng caressed my belly, he unconsciously began to dream of the future. Perhaps we should move to a larger home. I wonder if it will be a boy or a girl. Have you thought of any names? I shook my head. I would not be naming the child. After his birth, I would be leaving. 1. Initially, I had intended to visit the mall to indulge in a cake, but unexpectedly, I caught sight of the striking Omega who was on tiptoe, attempting to kiss Lu Zheng. Just a few days ago, he mentioned a business trip, and to soothe my spirits, he rarely agreed to bring home a rose. I couldn't help but tap my fingers, silently scoffing to myself. There was truly no need for him to deceive me. The beautiful and capable Omega, paired with the tall and formidable Alpha, appeared infinitely more suitable than I, a mere illegitimate child of lesser status. From the day of their wedding, I understood this truth. Lu Zheng is a man of great responsibility. If he were to see me here, he would undoubtedly accompany me and the baby. It would be best if he remained oblivious to my presence. Gripping the bag beside me, I stood up, only to feel a sharp pain in my abdomen, a warm rush cascading down my legs. Nearby, a little boy tugged at his mother's sleeve, asking, "Why did that brother wet his pants?" Looking down, I noticed a small patch of wetness on my trousers. Since Lu Zheng's absence these past few days, devoid of the comforting pheromones, my stomach had been in disarray. Today, after finally feeling somewhat better, I had ventured out to purchase a cake. Had I known that stopping when my legs felt weak would lead to this, I would have pressed on. Now it seemed cake would elude me. I awkwardly tugged at the corner of my mouth, and, having rehearsed this countless times, swiftly retrieved my phone. "Hello. I am at the north entrance of the Guojin Center. It seems I am going into premature labor. Could you come here to pick me up?" I placed my clothing beneath me, sitting still, too afraid to move. Whether the Omega managed to kiss the Alpha, I could not ascertain, but they were engaged in a lively conversation, laughter echoing between them. Lu Zheng's eyes were soft, his face adorned with a rare expression of life, vibrant and spirited. It was truly a sight to behold. By the time the ambulance arrived, I was gripped by contractions, each wave more intense than the last, causing tears to flow freely. I wept for this child who seemed so thoughtless, clamoring to emerge upon seeing his father smile at another. He did not understand that once he was born, I would have to leave. Lu Zheng had yet to present me with his rose. As I was administered oxytocin, I could no longer contain my cries of pain. The doctor paused, incredulously asking, "You're a lesser Omega? Where is your Alpha? With your condition, delivering alone poses a grave risk." I shook my head, trembling as I reached for the informed consent form. "No, Alpha. I will sign it myself. 2. I am the illegitimate child of the Shen family." Young Shen Zishan was a dashing figure, carelessly wandering about, never anticipating that my mother would fall victim to his charms. My mother was merely 19 at the time, having escaped from an adoptive family to become a hostess. Lacking education, familial support, or ever having known love, she naively believed that the sweet nothings whispered in the throes of passion would lead her to a life of luxury upon bearing me. Unbeknownst to her, Shen Zishan had a legitimate wife from an illustrious family. I nearly perished in her womb. Eventually, she clandestinely fled to the rural south, subsisting through massage therapy to support me. Beyond financial assistance, my mother bestowed upon me everything she could offer. I attended school until the age of 14, when I dropped out due to fighting. I had a notoriously fiery temperament. Following a verbal altercation, the son of a wealthy classmate pointed at me, deriding, "Your mother is nothing but a whore. Who knows how many have defiled her? She's an old harlot, and you're just a little harlot." Rage clouded my vision as I bit down hard on his forearm, tearing a chunk of flesh from him. That day, I learned that impulsiveness bears a cost. His father summoned a throng of men, demolishing the meager home my mother had managed to establish, humiliating her before my eyes. The pheromones released by 3 alphas rendered my mother and me immobile. Even breathing became a struggle. It was then I comprehended that, in the face of absolute congenital superiority, I amounted to nothing. After their rampage, they discarded my mother like a dead cat, leaving her crumpled on the cold floor. Wounds marred her body, blood staining her skin. With a pallid face, she clutched the tattered fabric at her chest, striving to uphold her final dignity as a mother in front of me. "Pearl, my dear, your mother neither steals nor destroys other families. The money I earn is the most precious sacrifice I can offer as a woman, and that is not shameful. You do not despise your mother, which brings me joy. I crawled to her, tears streaming down my face, wishing to embrace her, yet fearful of causing her pain. From that moment on, my mother resorted to selling goods on the street, our circumstances growing even more dire. I suppressed all my temper, becoming meek and submissive. While others earned $20 for washing 100 plates, I received only 10. I never sought explanations from my employer, merely compressing my time to complete the remaining tasks. When a colleague carelessly tossed my secretly packaged leftovers onto the ground, demanding I eat them before I could pack again, I immediately knelt and devoured them without a trace. Thus, a decade passed, and my mother eventually relinquished her stall business as her health deteriorated. She lay in a hospital bed, having lost considerable weight within just 2 months. Gazing at her serene sleeping face, I lamented my sole focus on saving money, never having taken her out for a moment of joy. It was during those times when I divided a penny into two that my biological father reappeared in my life. Perhaps his youthful escapades had drained his vitality, for he and his legitimate wife had yet to conceive. All previous children from his affairs had been disposed of, with me being the only inadvertent error. He offered to treat my mother's illness on the condition that I return to the Zheng family and acknowledge my lineage. Less than 2 months after my return, I was hastily arranged to marry Lu Zheng. 3. On the night of our wedding, Lu Zheng coldly handed me a card. I have never understood the concept of leveraging marriage as a means of cooperation. I refuse to spend my life with a stranger. However, I apologize. I currently lack the strength to resist. Feel free to use the money on the card as compensation from me. You may seek other suitors. Just ensure the media does not catch wind of it. Give me 3 years, and when I am in power, we will divorce. I agreed with unexpected delight, believing I could navigate the charade until my mother's illness was cured. However, 6 months later, Shen Zishan's secretary approached me under the pretext of a visit, inquiring whether I still wished to treat my mother's ailment. Under his control, I was left unaware of which hospital housed her. To glimpse a photograph of her, I had no choice but to acquiesce to his demands, to bear a child for the Lu and Shen families. That child would presumably belong to the Shen family, as Shen Zishan would likely refuse to acknowledge an illegitimate offspring stained by disgrace. After a week of waiting for Lu Zheng's return, I slipped medication into his meal. After a few bites, he paused and suddenly smiled at me. "Pearl, you truly excel at cooking. Do teach me sometime, as I wish to prepare a meal for my beloved." I stood frozen, my gaze vacant, nearly forgetting to breathe. Within an hour, the effects of the drug took hold in Lu Zheng. In pain and confusion, he lunged towards me, his pheromones erupting, the scent of blue rock grass bitter and acrid. It was a week filled with torment. As a lesser Omega, I was utterly unprepared for Lu Zheng's ferocious advances. I pleaded and wept, yet he remained unyielding. It became evident that inciting Lu Zheng's wrath was as perilous as angering Shen Zishan. Shen Zishan could grip my life's essence, while Lu Zheng could extinguish it with ease. Upon awakening, he was consumed by rage, shattering everything within reach, vowing never to eat anything I prepared again. The overwhelming pressure from an S-class alpha dredged up memories of the past decade. I was pinned to the ground, struggling to breathe. Lu Zheng's foot, raised in anger, ultimately did not strike me. Instead, he donned his coat and stormed out, not returning home for an entire 3 months. It was only upon discovering my pregnancy and visiting the hospital for a checkup that I encountered Lu Zheng in the outpatient hall, accompanying his secretary. The Omega, known as Jiang Ning, had often crossed my ears in the past. He was a university classmate of Lu Zheng, the top student, a rare bloom from a scholarly family, and he had established a relationship with Lu Zheng during their college years. Had it not been for my intrusion, they might have reached their happy conclusion. The beautiful Omega sat in a wheelchair, tilting his head back as he spoke to Lu Zheng. "It was just a little twist. There's really no need to be so anxious." Lu Zheng immediately countered, yet his gaze was filled with tenderness. "In less than half an hour, it's already this swollen. Only you could endure this." I turned away in a hurry, but Lu Zheng noticed me nonetheless. My pregnancy had ultimately been exposed. The decisive Lu Zheng, who was ruthless in the business realm, hung his head low, listening silently as the doctor chastised him. It is inherently difficult for a defective Omega to conceive, and once a miscarriage occurs, the risk of lifelong infertility is substantial. An Omega devoid of pheromone comfort faces immense psychological and emotional torment. He already shows signs of a threatened miscarriage. Do you think the Omega protection law is merely decorative? I lowered my head, helplessly clutching the ultrasound photo as though I were a mouse caught in the act of thievery. Since Lu Zheng had not marked me, Even the drugs administered had no effect. After he left, he had someone bring me contraceptives, watching me consume them before he departed. It was I who, upon his turning away, promptly expelled them. With this thought, I couldn't help but say to Lu Zheng, "You really need not concern yourself over this. You could firmly commit to Jiangning." Lu Zheng cast a deep glance at me, his face pale as he shook his head. I knew that his mother had died on the operating table after discovering his father's infidelity during her second childbirth. Lu Zheng once again succumbed to his sense of responsibility. That night, he gazed at the photograph of himself and Jiangning in the study, remaining sleepless throughout. Lu Zheng was a most devoted father. Initially, he struggled to adapt, always awkward and restrained in my presence. But the magic of blood ties was remarkable. The moment he felt the baby kick, he seemed to transform entirely. After work, he would caress my belly while reading aloud, and whenever the child moved, he would be so overwhelmed with joy that tears would brim in his eyes. Many times, he would return home bearing large bags of baby clothes and toys, yet he would always feel it insufficient. The house, once adorned in shades of black, white, and gray, gradually became cluttered with toys and early education books. The once dilapidated kitchen was refurbished and filled with fresh fruits and vegetables, and I moved from the guest room to the master bedroom, the former transformed into a nursery, overflowing with tiny garments. One day, Lu Zheng leaned against my belly and asked, "Little treasure, do you think this house is small? Should we move to a bigger one?" A small bump protruded from my abdomen, the outline of a tiny foot imprint visible upon it. Lu Zheng wore an expression of realization. "Perhaps we should indeed consider a larger residence? Do you think this child will be a boy or a girl? Have you thought of any names?" In a daze, I almost believed we were an ordinary, affectionate couple. But how could that be? Between us lay the identity of an illegitimate child, the fabrications and compromises, and the unknown contacts forever saved in Lu Zheng's phone. He would prepare nutritious meals for me, procure various clothes and shoes, fulfilling my every request. Yet he had never called my name in his dreams, nor had he ever gifted me a bouquet or a ring. He called me Little Treasure Daddy. Time and again, I despaired, wishing that Lu Zheng would continue to overlook me, for then perhaps I could extricate myself more decisively. Yet I was consciously ensnared. Aside from my mother, no one had ever cared about my preferences in food, whether I was warm enough, what books I enjoyed, if I wished to meet new friends, or if I had any hobbies. Lu Zheng showered me with such attentiveness that I found myself drowning in it, unable to escape. The only response I could muster was to maintain a facade of indifference. "Whatever, I don't know, you can decide." Faced with my dismissive replies, Lu Zheng never grew angry. Instead, he gently embraced me, releasing a hint of pheromones that made me feel as though I were nestled in my mother's arms. Pain surged once more, shattering my reverie. My lower body felt as though it were being torn apart, and at last, I heard a faint cry. I was chilled to the bone, my mind clouded. "Quick, bring the gauze, administer oxytocin." Just as I was on the verge of drifting into slumber, a hand grasped my shoulder. "Don't sleep. If you do, you may never wake up. Don't you want to see your child?" I dared not look. I feared that to do so would render me unable to part with them, unable to part with the child, unable to part with Lu Zheng. When I awakened again, Lu Zheng was asleep at the bedside, a rose placed upon the nightstand. As I stirred slightly, he awoke instantly. His face bore the marks of fatigue and worry, stubble shadowing his jawline. He grasped my hand tightly, his eyes reflecting a joy akin to that of regaining something precious. "You're finally awake. You've slept an entire day. When I received the call, you had already been taken into the delivery room. I'm sorry I couldn't stay by your side." The fragrance of orchid rockgrass I had sensed before losing consciousness was indeed no mere illusion. I had thought I was dreaming. Lu Zheng was truly a good man. Not only had he not forgotten me, but he had also brought me a rose. Although it was but a single bloom, it was exquisite, more radiant than the sun shining outside. I gently extricated my hand from his grasp and turned my gaze toward the window. I couldn't help but exclaim, "What lovely weather. It feels perfect for an outing." Lu Zheng paused, momentarily mistaking my words as a desire to go out. "Once you've fully recovered, our little family of 3 can go out together." Family of 3, what a heartwarming title. It warmed me to feel as though I had genuinely become a part of Lu Zheng's family. I awkwardly lowered my head, forcing a smile. "Let us talk about it later." My task had reached its conclusion. My mother's illness should have improved, and after a few more days of rest, I would take her on a trip, allowing her to experience everything she had missed before. She would surely be delighted. I too would be joyful. My presence had disrupted too many plans, separating Lu Zheng and Jiangning, the steadfast Mrs. Lin who had devoted her life to Xin Zishan, and my unfortunate mother. Lu Zheng opened the thermos, pouring a bowl of soup, blowing on it for a long while before bringing it to my lips. The baby is premature and still in the incubator. You should eat well to regain your strength. In a couple of days I'll take you to see him, all right? I nodded obediently, but as soon as the soup touched my lips, I couldn't help but expel it entirely. Lu Zheng, disregarding the mess, looked at me with concern. Is it unpalatable? Or are you feeling unwell? Should I call the doctor? I grasped his sleeve, hesitating for a long moment before deciding to voice my desire. I want cake. Cake? Yes. That day when I left, I had wanted to buy a cake. One of those cupcake varieties would suffice. In the past, on my birthdays, my mother could only afford to buy me cupcakes. Afterward, when she fell ill, no one bought me cakes anymore. I had originally intended to share longevity noodles with Lu Zheng, but since he had his own matters to attend to, I would have to eat an entire cake by myself. His expression shifted, and he promptly made a phone call. Before long, an array of cakes was laid out before me. Lu Zheng looked at me as if presenting a treasure. Which one do you want? I remember you liked the green grape flavor. I nodded obediently, eating until I felt I might burst. Yet I couldn't bring myself to stop. After 5 days of rest, Lu Zheng asked if I wanted to see the baby. I shook my head, feigning lack of strength. In truth, I was eager to see him, the little life that had spent over 8 months within me. Was he soft and small, sucking his fingers and crying? Crying for why his father wouldn't hold him. Lu Zheng was somewhat agitated, his tone growing harsh. If I push you over there, what effort do you need to exert? This is the child you brought into this world with your own life. Why are you so unwilling to see him? I fell silent, lowering my head, unable to meet his gaze. Lu Zheng and I faced each other in a tense standoff for some time, before he finally let out a weary sigh. I apologize. I should not have taken my anger out on you. I just feel that something is amiss with you. Tentatively, he inquired, Jinju, is there anything you desire? Or anything you wish to do? Something I wish to do? I want to see my father. The following afternoon, Xin Zishan arrived, theatrically having 2 boxes of supplements carried in, settling beside my bed to inquire about my well-being. It was only after Lu Zheng stepped out to take a phone call that I coldly asked him, "Where's my mother?" He paused, momentarily taken aback. "What? My task is complete. I want to take my mother away." Xin Zishan chuckled, a hint of mockery flickering in his calculating eyes. "Haven't you been informed? Your mother has passed away." Those words fell lightly on my eardrum, yet they reverberated like a thunderclap. "She breathed her last on the day you married Lu Zheng. I told her you had found a good family so she could rest easy. She left with a smile. It was a joyful passing." I opened my mouth but could not utter a single word. I understood every word he said, yet when pieced together, they formed an incomprehensible meaning. "What do you mean she is dead? How could she be dead? Just a year ago she was perfectly fine. A month ago, she was showing me videos of our meals together. How could she just die?" "You are lying. The doctor said her illness could be cured. But it required a significant amount of money I simply could not muster, which is why I agreed to return to the Shin family." The man before me glanced at his watch. I recognized the expensive timepiece from Lu Zheng's wardrobe. It was worth a fortune, enough to cover my mother's treatment with plenty left over. I had once contemplated asking Lu Zheng for help to cure my mother's illness. But we were strangers. Why would he assist me? By the time I realized he was a kind-hearted person, I had already drugged him in his meals. If you hadn't been so compliant with the notion of a cure, how would you have obeyed? That woman should have died over 20 years ago. But I must thank her. Had it not been for her, I might have been cut off entirely. I shook my head, struggling to rise from the bed. "You are lying. My mother promised she would live to 100, waiting for me to take care of her." Xin Zishan clicked his tongue in annoyance. "Knowing you would not give up, I have brought her ashes for you." One of his bodyguards promptly presented a small wooden box to me, roughly the thickness of a copy of Dream of the Red Chamber. Contained my mother. Xin Zishan patted my shoulder. "Enough of this weeping, else Lu Zheng might believe I have harmed you. The Lu family is a commendable partner. Lu Zheng seems to have feelings for you. If you play your cards right and obey, you will still be our Shin family's child." My heart ached as though it had been hammered with a nail. I opened my mouth, biting down on Xin Zishan's hand with the same ferocity I had shown when I attacked the son of a nouveau riche years ago. "Liar, liar. My mother is not dead. He promised he would help her. Why does he not keep his word?" I finished washing the dishes, and the owner paid me. I consumed the leftover food on the floor, and my coworkers no longer bothered with my takeout. Why should Xin Zishan's words hold no weight? Had I known this would happen, I would have rather died than returned to the Shin family. I ruined Lu Zheng's long-standing relationship with Jiang Ning, bore an innocent and unloved child, yet I didn't even get to see my mother one last time. I should have sold my blood, sold my body. I should not have entrusted my mother to Shin Zishan. My mother could have supported me through her work. I was selfish, and that is why she died. Both Shin Zishan and I deserve to perish. The bodyguard rushed over to pull me away, but I was unyielding. Suddenly, a piercing scent rapidly filled the ward, and my body felt as though it were plummeting uncontrollably. Shin Zishan looked down at me from his superior position. A rabbit may bite painfully, but a single knife can be fatal. If it weren't for her stubbornness in wanting a title, my wife would not have been stressed to the point of miscarriage. To be frank, I never administered any special medication, but what of it? Shin Jinju, if you wish to blame someone, blame yourself for being an Omega. Even with a gun in your hand now, you could not kill me. My breath grew heavy. My body felt as if ants were gnawing at me, a mix of itchiness and pain, clawing at my insides. I rolled on the floor, as if I were a piece of meat roasting over an open flame, desperately seeking escape yet only awaiting destruction in despair. I lost track of time, enveloped by the fragrance of the Lan Yen grass. Lu Zheng's voice trembled. Zhenju, why are you on the floor? What happened? With great effort, I lifted my eyelids, tasting the salty tears as I spoke. Lu Zheng, it seems I no longer have a mother. He froze. What do you mean? Summoning an unknown courage and strength. I clutched the box in my arms and knelt on the ground. Lu Zheng, I beg you, please help me find my mother. My mother is missing. I cannot find her. Lu Zheng embraced me tightly, responding with all right to everything I said. I could not discern whether I had fallen asleep or fainted. When I awoke again, darkness enveloped the outside world. Turning my head, I noticed a small box beside the yellowed rose, adorned with my mother's photo. Lu Zheng appeared to be engaged in a video conference. Upon seeing me awake, he removed his headphones and approached me, mingling with the scent of Lan Yen grass, his expression grave. After several moments of struggle, he spoke, Zhenju, you must take care of yourself. I blinked numbly, utterly incomprehensible of his words. My task was complete. I was to take my mother on a world tour. I picked up the rose from the bedside, gazing at it for a long time before conceding. My mother's name is Li Mylan. She is a flower too. She is a beautiful Omega, with the scent of gardenias, the most exquisite fragrance in the world. Her hands are skilled. She could fry pepper leaves and flour to perfection, and she could mend my tattered school uniform beautifully. Every afternoon she would bring me lunch, urging me to eat more and grow big so she could live a good life. I have finally grown up, and in a few days, no, tomorrow, I will take her on a world tour, so she can boast to the neighbors that her precious son is more filial than any other. Lu Zheng grasped my hand. His eyes reddened as he attempted to embrace me. Zhenju, do not be like this, you still have me and Xiao Bao. No, that is not right. Lu Zheng belongs to Jiang Ning, and Xiao Bao belongs to Lu Zheng. I have only my mother, and my mother has only me. I stubbornly pushed him away and asked a question I had long held in my heart. Lu Zheng, is Mylan a significant name? He did not grasp my meaning, furrowing his brow at me. When I was a child, I was often ill. The neighbor's grandmother said it was because the name Zhenju was too grand for me, that I could not bear it, which is why I fell ill. So, I want to know, is Mylan a significant name? If not, why was my mother's life so arduous? Once again, I have broken my promise. A fierce fever beset me, tormenting me for nearly a week. First, upon opening my eyes, I found Lu Zheng seated at my bedside, his face etched with worry. The moment I awoke, he burst into tears. He must find me quite bothersome. Over the past year, I have caused him to lose his beloved, forced him to take on an additional child, and continually troubled him with my care. I find myself harboring a certain disdain for my own existence. As I close my eyes, I ponder the notion of simply succumbing to slumber once more. Ideally, I would never awaken again. For in dreams, at least, I can reunite with my mother. The machine emits a series of bleeps, and Lu Zheng seems to be speaking urgently, while the scent of Lan Yen grass pheromone bursts into the air, creating an atmosphere of frantic confusion. I envision my mother, adorned in that exquisite qipao she reserved for parent-teacher meetings, scolding me furiously. Li Zhenju, you are utterly useless. You are so dramatic over a mere fever. Have you grown so accustomed to comfort that you have become this delicate? You bear no resemblance to my son. Do you understand how costly it is to be ill these days? I weep, expressing my discomfort and yearning for her embrace. With reddened eyes, she crouches down, gently stroking my head, encouraging me as she did when I stubbornly refused to learn to ride a bicycle after a fall. Li Zhenju, do not be afraid. You carry your mother's blood. As long as you are here, she will forever remain. She kisses my forehead, and with a gentle push, I plummet heavily into darkness. Startled, I wearily open my eyes. Lu Zheng, hunched over, kneels before my mother's urn, muttering something. It is the first time I have witnessed him in such a state of disarray. He has lost considerable weight. His clothes appear to have remained unchanged for quite some time, and his beard has grown long, with dark circles under his eyes. Zhenju, he rushes over, grasping my hand and pressing his forehead against mine. You've finally awakened. You've been out of the ICU for 3 days. The doctor said you didn't want to wake up. Indeed, I wished to remain asleep. It was my mother who had pushed me away. Lu Zheng took a 2-month leave, stating he would return to work only after I and Xiao Bao were discharged. During my illness, he purchased a flourishing orchid. I poured my mother's ashes into the pot. Although I lacked strength, I found solace in sitting by the window, lost in thought as I tended to her. Li Mylin, have you had water? Li Mylin, are you basking in the sun? Li Mylin, I caught some bugs for you. None. How splendid. Such a beautiful flower. The wind swept in, causing the orchid to sway, reminiscent of Li Mylin dancing. While watering the flower, the door creaked open, and Jiang Ning appeared at the threshold, holding a delicate fruit basket. President Lu, their essay project. I sat on the bed, absent-mindedly sipping the soup Lu Zheng had prepared for me. Their conversation was hushed, and I could not discern their words. Lu Zheng maintained a furrowed brow until Jiang Ning spoke for quite some time, at which point he nodded, his frown easing. The weather, having been gloomy for several days, suddenly allowed a ray of sunlight to pierce through, gently illuminating them. After Jiang Ning concluded his business, he turned back at the door. Zhenju, I wish you a swift recovery. I was momentarily speechless, nodding in response. Did he not harbor any resentment towards me? If it were not for me, he would have long been with Lu Zheng. I glanced at Lu Zheng's expression, only to find him staring intently at Jiang Ning. His gaze complex, as if a multitude of words were lodged in his throat, unable to escape. I had once harbored a hint of animosity towards Jiang Ning, fearing he would mistreat Xiao Bao in the future. Yet, it became evident that he was an exceptionally magnanimous individual. It was no wonder Lu Zheng held such affection for him. With a smile, he prepared to close the door, and I could not restrain myself from asking, "Will you come to see me more often?" Jiang Ning was taken aback, but before I could explain, he nodded. However, I would prefer to see you next time in the park. Once Jiang Ning departed, an inexplicable awkwardness enveloped the room. Lu Zheng nonchalantly served himself another bowl of soup, inquiring if I wished to partake. A sudden wave of discomfort washed over me. Mother, indeed, you should not have allowed me to remain. I was overtaken by a mischievous impulse, unable to suppress a smile. Lu Zheng turned to me, puzzled. What's wrong? Why so suddenly cheerful? I propped myself up to gaze at him. Lu Zheng, backlit, though no longer as upright as before, still possessed a captivating allure. Confessed Lu Zheng, I love you. Do you love me? He froze, his gaze deep and contemplative, before finally responding, I like you. It was indeed just a matter of liking. For a recently married Li Zhenju, such a sentiment felt extravagantly insufficient. Yet the current Li Zhenju believed herself to be cherished, thus greedily yearning for more. If you like me, why haven't you marked me? He had not marked me when I was drugged, nor when he comforted me during my pregnancy, and even during my recent feverish state, he had refrained from marking me. If you truly like me, then mark me, Lu Zheng. Tears streamed down my face as I laughed, yet Lu Zheng, with a complex expression, urged me not to act this way. Zhenju, your body has yet to recover. Your glands were damaged during childbirth. In truth, there was no need for a reason to refuse. A refusal is simply a refusal. Yet I feigned ignorance, pressing him to mark me. Lu Zheng found himself cornered by me. Zhenju, Jiang Ning and I do not work on the same floor. Our relationship has concluded entirely. The words resonated like thunder in my ears, leaving my mind in a daze. I pulled down my hospital gown, exposing the gland on the back of my neck. Then mark me. This was the first time I mustered the courage to meet his gaze directly. Dark, profound, brimming with emotion. His beautiful peach blossom eyes reflected my figure, trembling momentarily before closing and then reopening. Lu Zheng gently embraced me, the sense of lanyan grass and green grapes intertwining in a passionate embrace. He bestowed upon me a temporary mark before hurriedly retreating to the restroom. I covered my face, sliding down the wall, tears streaming more profusely with each wipe. It would have been better had he not marked me at all. Just as I had created a tumultuous scene, we might have parted ways. Instead, I was left feeling wronged and helpless, receiving a mere temporary mark, reminiscent of when he called me Xiao Bao's daddy, a sorrowful echo of the past. Jiang Ning proved to be a man of his word, returning to visit me once more. I was in the midst of watering Li Mylan when he suddenly rushed over, embracing me with an anxious expression, questioning why I had climbed so high. I shook my head in confusion. What do you mean by climbing so high? I was merely watering the flowers. I carefully cradled the flower pot. My mother is resting here. No, that's not right. She celebrated my birthday just days ago. Oh, look how well I've nurtured my flowers. Jiang Ning regarded me with an expression of complexity for a long time before gently enveloping me in his arms. Xinzhu, I do not know what has transpired within you, but if there is something you wish to pursue, perhaps I can assist. A desire to pursue, seeking Jiang Ning's help. Once I am gone, could you care for Xiao Bao? Fearing he might not know who Xiao Bao was, I hastily clarified, Xiao Bao is my child, currently in an incubator. Just a couple of days ago, he even called me daddy. No, he isn't even a month old yet, but he's quite understanding, eats little, and is easy to care for. The other day, he even mentioned liking you. Jiang Ning's expression darkened, and the more nonsensical my words became, the more frantic I felt. By the end, I was on the verge of tears, fearing I would irritate him. What I mean to say is, when you and Lu Zheng get married, could you please not resent Xiao Bao? I am pleading with you. I will be leaving soon and will not intrude upon you. I have never seen him. He does not know me. If he says something wrong or eats too much, please do not scold him, all right? He is already pitiful for lacking anyone to care for him. I have saved a little money, leaving half for his food expenses. Xinzhu, Jiang Ning interrupted me. An indescribable sorrow etched across his beautiful face, as if he were on the brink of tears. I am not a magnanimous person. I find your child, the offspring of you and Lu Zheng, utterly detestable. If you do not wish for your child to meet a grim fate at my hands, then take him with you. Clenching my hands tightly around the hem of my garment, I summoned the courage to plead once more. But my mother has come to find me. I wish to accompany her on a journey around the world. If you take Xiao Bao along, it will be quite arduous for him. Furthermore, my mother does not know him. She is bound to be unhappy. I do not wish for that. Jiang Ning's expression contorted as large tears streamed down his face. He grasped my hand tightly, pulling me outside without hesitation. Lu Zheng appeared at the doorway with soup in hand, and upon witnessing Jiang Ning's stern demeanor, he appeared momentarily flustered. What's the matter? Did Xinzhu upset you? He is a patient. Do not blame him. Lu Zheng. Jiang Ning glared at him, his eyes reddened. Li Xinzhu is ill. Gravely so. I suspect he is hallucinating. Lu Zheng's expression froze in disbelief. How could that be? He has been eating and sleeping well these past few days. When I entered just now, he was standing on a stool. A slight lean would send him tumbling down. I listened to their conversation with growing confusion, a vague sense of unease settling in my heart. Thus, I took the initiative to grasp the thermos Lu Zheng held. Wow, it smells so good. I am absolutely famished. Jiang Ning, would you like to stay and have a meal together? Lu Zheng has been cooking deliciously lately, and I am quite skilled in the kitchen as well. He even mentioned wanting to learn how to cook for you. With a loud clatter, the thermos fell to the ground, a profound pain radiating from my heart throughout my body, causing me to arch my back. I had forgotten. The little treasure still lying in the incubator was a consequence of the medication I had given Lu Zheng. He despises eating my cooking. Lu Zheng rushed over and embraced me. His mouth moving, yet the words were inaudible to me. The doctor made me fill out numerous forms and undergo many tests. As we returned to the ward, Lu Zheng's expression was grim. I anxiously watched him, sitting on the bed, too nervous to speak. That evening, after taking a shower, I sat by the bed awaiting Lu Zheng's return. Lu Zheng, please do not be angry anymore. All right? I won't ask you to mark me anymore. His hand, which was drying my hair, paused momentarily before he exerted even more force. I am not angry with you. We are partners. Why would I refuse you if you wish to mark me? But the doctor has stated that your gland condition is quite poor. Marking you now would cause your pheromones to go haywire. Yet another slew of reasons to reject my request. All right, I was just joking. In a few days, I will take my mother on a world tour. When would I have the time for you to mark me? Suddenly, my shoulder was yanked roughly, and Lu Zheng pushed me down onto the bed, his eyes filled with sorrow. Xinzhu, you are ill. Let us first focus on your recovery before discussing romance. Shall we? With such words from him, what could I do? I burrowed into his chest, inhaling the fragrance of orchid grass deeply. All right, in truth, I felt a twinge of pain in my body, but fearing it would anger Lu Zheng, I focused on his pheromones to alleviate the discomfort. The doctor prescribed me a multitude of medications, a large number to be taken daily. I could not help but vent to Li. These pills are enormous. I can't swallow them whole, and breaking them only diminishes their efficacy. Being sick is such a hassle. Li, when you were ill, did you also struggle to swallow your medication? Or did you try hard to take it, yet no one provided you with any? Li, you were so unfortunate. She began to cry, and I comforted her, saying, "It's all right. I recently took on a job, and now your son has money. Come. I will take you on a trip and buy you the most expensive dress. We won't wait until tomorrow. We will leave right now." A gust of wind swept by, sending Li flying away. The world around me spun, and I found myself enveloped tightly in a fragrant embrace of orchid grass, crashing heavily to the ground. Lu Zheng panted for breath, his eyes red as he looked at me. He wept, and as my senses gradually returned, I instinctively shrank back. I'm sorry. Did I just beg you to mark me again? Do not be afraid. I am an Omega. I cannot overpower you. Next time, if I do this again, tie me up, kick me, scold me for being shameless, call me a slut. Lu Zheng stopped crying, and believing my words had some effect, I began to clap my hands rhythmically, singing like a nursery rhyme. Li Zhenju is a little slut. Li is a big slut. Li Zhenju is a little slut. My hands were tightly bound, and Lu Zheng's kisses descended upon me like a torrential downpour, silencing my lips. I was kissed breathless, my mind a haze. After a long while, he released me. Li Zhenju is the best person in the world. Li is the best mother in the world. Perhaps due to a brief state of oxygen deprivation, I finally grasped what had just transpired. My heart tightened as I glanced towards the window. It was empty. Aside from a few shattered railings, there was no sign of Li. Shun Zishan had never given me her ashes. It had all been an illusion of mine. I stared blankly at everything before me. The half-cleaned vomit on the floor, the yellowing and foul-smelling roses on the nightstand, Lu Zheng's disheveled clothing, and the thick bandages on his arms. I stood up, struggling to walk outside, only to be tightly embraced from behind. "Zhenju, where are you going?" I fought against him, my lips nearly bitten to the point of bleeding. "I want to kill Shun Zishan." My strength was like a mere mayfly attempting to shake a tree. With a single effort from him, I was rendered helpless. "Let us first recuperate before seeking revenge. Shall we? I will help you with your vengeance." My body began to weaken, and I leaned against him, suddenly feeling utterly powerless. I was wrong. I should not have believed Shun Zishan's words. I should have worked hard, even to the point of coughing up blood, to ensure my mother's recovery. The doctor had clearly stated that her illness was treatable. Leaning against him, my breathing gradually calmed. After a while, I struggled to say, "I want to see the little treasure." This was the first time in days I had inquired about him. The child who had been in my womb for less than 9 months, born amidst schemes and hatred. Lu Zheng's eyes brimmed with tears. He took me to the pediatric ward, pointing through the thick glass at the incubator across from us. "Look, that little one is our child." My body trembled violently with excitement. My hands pressed tightly against the glass, tracing the features of that tiny life. His eyebrows, eyes, and nose resembled Lu Zheng exactly. It was wonderful. Soon, however, I couldn't help but frown. He is so small. Yes, he is a bit small due to being premature. But that's all right. We will nourish him to be strong. I turned to look at Lu Zheng. "Lu Zheng, do you love him?" Lu Zheng answered without hesitation this time, of course. I nodded, continuing to focus on the little one. "Then you must treat him well. If he is mischievous, do not hit him. If he eats a lot, do not scold him. If his classmates bully him, you must stand up for him." I rambled on extensively. Finally, I understood the feeling of my mother repeatedly reiterating those clichés as she held my school bag before I went to school. By the end, Lu Zheng's expression had grown quite grim. I awkwardly adjusted my clothes. "I won't say so much from now on. Please do not be angry." After a moment, he opened his mouth and suddenly asked, "Do you want to know what the little treasure is called? At that time, you were still unconscious, and later you refused to mention him, so I took the liberty of naming him Li Xingshu. I hope he shines as brilliantly as the stars in the sky, living freely and happily." After a pause, he added, "I consulted someone. They said this name suits him well. Li Xingshu." I repeated those 3 characters over and over. "What? He has the surname Li?" Lu Zheng nodded as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Isn't it normal for the child you fought so hard to bring into this world to bear your surname?" I shook my head in a flurry. "That cannot do. If he bears my surname, will the Lu family still want him? If the Lu family does not want him, how can I support him?" Lu Zheng discerned my unease and wrapped his arms around my shoulders. His surname is Li, but that does not diminish the fact that he is my child, Lu Zheng. Zhenju, I shall never abandon him, nor will I forsake you. Just as I let out a sigh of relief, I heard him say, Zhenju, let us bestow a nickname upon our little treasure. For several days I pondered over a name for the little one. It needed to be melodious, carry a positive connotation, be easy to nurture, and avoid any potential for unflattering nicknames. Gazing through the glass at the tiny bundle, I couldn't help but lament. Naming is such a hassle. Lu Zheng shot me a reproachful glance. Then why did you insist I buy a dictionary? Before he could continue, chaos erupted inside the glass enclosure. Several doctors and nurses anxiously surrounded the baby, who was being taken to the operating room. In that instant, my heart leaped to my throat. Time stretched interminably, and my heart ached more with each passing moment, brimming with anxiety. The doctor emerged with a grave expression. The child was born prematurely and experienced some oxygen deprivation. The development of his brainstem is not optimal. The subsequent words from the doctor faded into a blur. His lips moved, accusing me of causing the premature birth, of administering drugs to Lu Zheng, of returning to the Shen family, of shirking my responsibilities by not earning money to treat my mother, and of whining about the complexities of naming a child. He claimed the baby was upset with me, that he and Li Mylin no longer wished for my presence. Unable to meet his gaze, I knelt in a flurry of panic, pleading for forgiveness. I understand my mistakes. I truly do. It is I who should have perished 20 years ago. Lu Zheng squatted beside me, tugging at me, calling my name in desperation. He embraced me, and tears brimmed in my eyes, cascading down in heavy droplets. I struggled in his arms, stammering for what felt like an eternity, finally managing to voice my anguish. Lu Zheng, what do we do? It hurts so much. He searched my face, repeatedly asking, where does it hurt? I could not articulate it. It felt as though every part of me ached, as if I were being slowly drawn and quartered, my very essence being torn apart. They ache, I murmured. He wiped my tears, kissing me while weeping, swallowing my sorrow. Zhenju, I dreamt of my mother yesterday. She said, Li Zhenju, do not be afraid. You carry my blood within you. As long as you exist, I shall forever be present. She said you are the most understanding and filial child in the world, and she is waiting in the hospital for you to recover so that she can take you traveling. I leaned against his chest, the powerful rhythm of his heartbeat resonating in my ears. Lu Zheng, I've decided on a name for the baby.
Ho aput Kang Kang.
Kong Kong. Yes. Is Li Xingshu too grand? I want him to be called Kong Kong, wishing for peace and health. Kong Kong was wheeled into the intensive care unit, with Lu Zheng's father and Shen Zishan arriving. Shen Zishan, observing my swollen eyes, reproached Lu Zheng. Lu Zheng, when I entrusted Zhenju to you, she was in good health. How has she come to this? I heard she was also born prematurely. Was she startled by some shocking sight? His eyes glinted with cunning, as if he had captured some incriminating evidence against Lu Zheng. Lu Zheng clenched his teeth, holding me tighter, his demeanor unyielding. It is my fault. I did not take good care of Zhenju. Shen Zishan scrutinized us, a false smile plastered on his face as he addressed Lu Zheng's father. Brother Lu, our Shen family is not a small establishment. My son is not to be bullied by others. I hope your Lu family will not overstep the bounds. The atmosphere grew tense, and Lu Zheng's father cleared his throat, summoning Lu Zheng outside. The television drama reached a climax, with the female lead collapsing, her child barely clinging to life. If it weren't for your actions harming so many, how could your son have died? The sins of parents are repaid in their children. This is a classic case of retribution. Shen Zishan chuckled, pointing at the wailing woman. Does she not resemble your mother? Greed led to the downfall of generations. Anger surged within me. My mother did nothing wrong. If you hadn't committed adultery during your marriage, countless innocents would not have suffered. My outburst caused Shen Zishan to frown instantly. You wretched girl. Just then, the door swung open, and Lu Zheng rushed in front of me. Mr. Shen, your hand is not meant to strike a woman who has just given birth. Is it? Shen Zishan awkwardly withdrew his hand, falling silent. It's getting late. I must take my leave. As he reached the door, he turned back, smiling at me as he mouthed, retribution. I called out to him, and under Lu Zheng's astonished gaze, I obediently inquired, Dad, when I am discharged, may I visit you at your company? Your employees won't stop me, will they? Shen Zishan's gaze darkened, feigning concern as he bid me to rest well. The room fell into silence. I leaned against Lu Zheng, stubbornly finishing the episode. The tiny infant was cast into the flames, leaving nothing behind. Lu Zheng switched to a comedy channel, enveloping me in a comforting aura. The doctor assured me that Kong Kong will be fine soon. We waited outside the intensive care unit for 3 days. When Kong Kong was finally brought out, he resembled a frail monkey, nestling in a small blanket. Trembling, I reached out, gently touching his cheek. He stirred from his slumber and grasped my finger. I stood at the hospital entrance, gazing up at the sky. The sun blazed, the sky a brilliant blue, and the clouds soft and gentle. What a splendid day for a trip. Lu Zheng paused in his packing. He gently pressed my hat down. A family of 3 should travel together. You are not to sneak away alone. I wrapped my arms around him from behind, my voice muffled. Lu Zheng, thank you. Just before he could return the embrace, I climbed into the car, holding Kong Kong close. Lu Zheng had taken an extended leave, and within 2 hours of returning home, he hurried off to the company. Before leaving, he called for an aunt from the old residence to help care for me and Kong Kong. He placed a kiss on my forehead and then on Kong Kang's little face. When I return, I'll prepare delicious meals for you. In just over a month, Lu Zheng appeared less healthy than I. His former suit hung loosely on him, swaying with the breeze. Let me cook dinner for you tonight. I want tea drug you. His eyes were forlorn as he gently held my hand. In a few days we can cook together. You've just been discharged, so you need to rest. My heart ached, and I gently pushed him away, shaking Kong Kong's small hand. Kong Kong, let us say goodbye to Daddy. Half an hour after Lu Zheng left, I went to Xin Zishan's company. Lu Zheng had assured me that Aunt Zhang was completely trustworthy, so I entrusted Kong Kong to her, leaving behind a signed divorce agreement and taking a fruit knife with me. As I passed by an elderly woman, I bought all her fruit, including the basket, and carried it into Xin Zishan's company. Xin Zishan was surprised by my arrival when he returned to his office after a meeting. He glanced at the basket beside me and signaled to his secretary, who, red-faced and disheveled, promptly took the items away. What brings you here? I sat demurely on the sofa, fixing my gaze upon him. Are you not my father? A son visiting his father, what's the issue? I felt disgusted even as I spoke those words. The man standing before me at the pinnacle of power is the very source of all sins. Had he not repeatedly strayed, Mrs. Lin would not be plagued by constant anxiety. My mother would not have conceived me, and I would not have disrupted the relationship between Lu Zheng and Jiang Ning. Each individual harbors a scar that cannot be mended, and when intertwined, these scars ultimately transform into a dagger pressed against my back, propelling me to this very moment. The secretary returned, the pallor at the corners of his mouth now erased. His cheeks flushed as he stood at the doorway, exuding a potent pheromone. He cast a fleeting glance in my direction before settling at his desk. Once you've finished, you may leave. I am quite busy at the moment. I rose and approached him step by step. Father, I wish to divorce Lu Zheng. His brow arched in surprise. Oh, I had assumed you were deeply enamored with him, but it seems you, like me, are merely drawn to novelty. I shook my head, resting a hand on his shoulder, as naturally as a father and son engaged in an intimate conversation. Before stepping out, I had glanced in the mirror. Pale and emaciated, I appeared akin to a mere skeleton, devoid of any intimidation. Confident in my pheromones and capabilities, Xin Zishan had allowed me to stand behind him. No, it is because I am unwell, mentally ill. He let out a derisive laugh. If you are indeed ill, then rest. Do not bother me here. The Lu family still has profits to reap, and you cannot afford to be willful at this juncture. I have matters to attend to. No sooner had he spoken than my blade pierced his temple. The man who had recently told me that even if I held a gun, I could never kill him, succumbed to his fate, his pockets still bulging. An overwhelming, palpable thrill enveloped me, and I trembled with laughter. The secretary at the door let out a piercing scream and fled. Seizing the moment, I ascended to the rooftop. I had calculated that behind this building lay a verdant expanse, densely populated with trees, ensuring that a fall would not harm anyone. Li Jinzhu, a feeble and worthless omega, could only exact revenge for her mother and herself by staining others with her own blood. I climbed onto the railing, the wind at the rooftop tousling my hair. Li Milin reached out to me from beyond the railing. Come on, Li Jinzhu. Come find me, mother. Shortly after Lu Zheng arrived at the company, he received a call from Zhang Ma. The young master has left without saying a word about where he is going, only instructing me to take good care of the young lord. Lu Zheng gripped the phone tightly, swiftly opening the surveillance feed. A slender figure swayed at the entrance, and he fixated on the fleeting glint of metal. A wave of profound unease surged within him as he discarded the documents in his hand and rushed to the parking lot at breakneck speed. It was the first time in his life he had run a red light. By the time he reached Shun's, the building was in chaos, a cacophony of noise and panic enveloping the air. He dashed into the elevator, pressing the button for the top floor. As the doors opened, he sprinted until he spotted that slender figure resolutely vaulting over the railing. Lu Zheng's heart shattered as he screamed, "Li Zhenju!" Before her departure, Li Zhenju left a letter along with a divorce agreement. To my beloved Lu Zheng, Li Xingshu, I hope this letter finds you well. Please forgive my abrupt departure. I intruded upon your world rather rudely and left without a word, which was indeed inconsiderate. This past year, I have been truly, deeply happy. I am immensely grateful to both of you. Lu Zheng, I have longed to apologize for disrupting your relationship with Jiang Ning. I have suffered greatly as well. But please do not direct this resentment towards Kong Kong. If one day you notice he resembles me, do not let anger surface at that face. And to Kong Kong, please do not mention me, your selfish father. I do not truly find the name troublesome. In truth, I love him dearly. In the nursery, there is a box containing the small scarf and clothes I knitted for him. I want to express that I have fed him, held him on the lawn, gazed at the blue sky and white clouds, bought him his first little backpack, clothes and shoes, and saved his yearly lucky money. I love him as deeply as any mother or father could. Now, I am off to travel with my mother, but please do not feel inferior or saddened. You carry my blood, and I will always be with you. With regret for you both, Li Zhenju. A week later, I opened my eyes to see a stark white ceiling and a gaunt face. Lu Zheng's eyes were bloodshot. After several attempts, he finally managed to utter in a hoarse voice, "Li Zhenju, you have finally awakened. I was not dead. The last time, my mother had pushed me down. This time, Lu Zheng had caught me. I had fallen into madness and was sent to a sanatorium." Lu Zheng grasped my hand tightly. "Li Zhenju, do not be afraid. All the evils have dissipated. Henceforth, we shall walk this path together." I blinked my dry eyes and buried my head in his chest. MHM. The end. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to our next story.